Welcome back. Now let's deal with the success stories. So let's head over to our HTML file. Where were we? Okay. End of section, end of second div, and end of section. That's the last thing we wrote. That was a comment. Okay, so next now, moving, I had the fourth section with an ID of success stories. That's the comment. So the first thing, I'm going to define the section. I give it an ID of success stories because that is what we are talking about now. I'm sure if you click on this, it should probably take you to a page where you see their past project and responses of customers. So inside the section, we're going to add, okay, the section has 3 children and age 4. Let me scroll down. It has 3 children. It has an H4, an H1 element, and a span element. All right. The only blunder I committed in this page was having more than one H1. So I probably should have had maybe an H2 or something, but I think I had H1 repeatedly. I probably forgot that I've probably had it. I just kept on adding H1, H1, H1. All right. So first of all, I had the H4 success stories. Next, I had the H1. It probably should actually have been a paragraph text. And I definitely could have increased the font size using CSS instead of having an H1 here below an H4, especially for the fact that I already have an H1 on this page. But pardon my errors, I realized that you can always make the adjustment from your side. Okay, so after the H1, now I'm going to add, I said I added an H1, H4, H1, and a span element. So I wrote a comment here. The span contains one right arrow icon as well as, okay, all right, one arrow icon. This one, let me show you what I'm about to add. We've added this H4, we have added this as an H1. Now we're going to add this, and of course we know where to get that from Font Awesome site. So I had the span. Now since we already have the H4 and H1, I have the span. Inside the span, I'm going to add the code that I copied from Font Awesome. And Font Awesome code, if you notice, is always wrapped in this I tag. Inside this I tag, so in the opening tag, I have my own ID. It is only the class that came with Font Awesome, but me, I added my own ID so I can style that font. And inside it, I'm going to add a text. And just like I did before, I wrap the text, read success stories. Read success stories, but I want it to be a link. Can you see it's a link? It's clickable. It should take us to another side. So I wrap it inside an anchor tag. This is an anchor tag, and this is another anchor tag. And of course, I give it a class just like the others so I can style them. And href set to hash. It's not taking us anywhere, but it's going to be treated as an anchor tag. And then next, okay, I think that's the end of that section. So I'm going to save now. And this is what we intend to achieve. So let's check our page. Refreshing. Refreshing should be done in 5 seconds. All the icons would always, every time you refresh, you have to reload the icons that you import, and everything you imported from external websites. Okay, now, so wow, success stories. And this is the H, okay, this is the H4, so, and this is the H1. And then this is our span. This inside the span, I have the icon from Font Awesome. And then I believe you can see it. I'm at the bottom of the page. I can't go down except I had more content, but you'll see it properly later. So I have the text, read success stories, and that is what we have. Okay, sorry. Read success stories is what we add from theirs, read success stories. So we just add something similar, which we are still going to style properly. Right now it's looking kind of more fancy than we even want. Okay, so that's the end of that particular section. Now let's move to the next section, and this section is like my favorite. Yeah, I think the earlier ones are they are not as interesting as this. These final ones with the footer, I kind of enjoyed. I enjoyed the look. All right, so this I told us that in the beginning in the first video, the overview video, that The only difference between theirs and what we are going to have is that their one has a JavaScript on click property. So once I click over it, it moves. I click over it, it moves. I click over it, it moves until the last. If I click this, it doesn't move. But if I click here, so I'm sure it has it probably have what we call conditional statements. But don't worry about that. That's all JavaScript. If I click this, it moves. If I click this, it moves. But if I click it now, it doesn't move again because there's nothing left here. There's no much margin left. So we're going to have something similar. So every of these images now, every of this image rather, we have 4 images here. I'm going to have everything inside. This one is a div. Now this is a div. You can see this div has a background color. Inside each div, we have the name and the image. Name and image. So if you look at, that's the same pattern for all of them. Inside this div, we have name and image. And the fourth one, name. So we have 4 divs. So we're going to put these 4 divs inside the next section. So for you not to be confused, the next section we're going to have 4 divs, and in the 4 divs we're going to have, in each div we'll just have a similar pattern, an h1. Remember, it probably should have been an h2. We already have an h1, but you can make that correction from your end. We have a text header, and then we have the image, and of course these beautiful images particularly, I copy them, and you can also copy them. You know how to copy them already. Right click, and is that you save image on your laptop or you copy the image address. So now let's go to our HTML. So end of the initial section. Now next, I add the 5th section with ID of carousel. That thing is called carousel. Now Bootstrap, I initially used a Bootstrap carousel. Let me show you what a Bootstrap carousel looks like. I initially was going to use the Bootstrap carousel, and I actually used it. So I realized that while trying to make the page responsive, I wasn't getting what I wanted. I didn't like the responsive nature of their own carousel. All right, so on Bootstrap, they are under components. This is where we picked our initial accordion. We have carousel. Okay, it's actually carousel. I'm always mixing up the the spelling. So sometimes you will see me write whichever. All right, so English is not the goal of this whole thing. The main thing is for you to be able to achieve what you want to achieve. All right, so these are examples of Bootstrap accordions, and they're actually very beautiful. This one, if I click, it goes to the second slide. Third, I like the sliding effect. 3, you can make it more than 3 if you want. I was able to do that. I added one more inside the code. Remember, I told us initially that Bootstrap will work for you even when you're already firm with HTML and CSS. So inside this code, I can, for instance, if you notice, we have more divs. We have 1 to 3 divs that has this SRC. I can add extra one if I want to have 4 images, because literally what we want to do, we need 4 images. So I can actually decide to use that code and make it 4, and add 4 buttons as well. Add an extra button. Let me see if they have something else. Okay, I like this one. This one has this effect, indicator effect, similar, but it has the indicator effect. That's the only difference. And let me see. And if you notice too, just like theirs, you have this. You are not clicking the image particularly, but you are clicking this button. This button comes with an icon. Once you click this icon, it moves. That is JavaScript at work. Let me see what else. Okay, this was actually the one I really used. This was one I intended. I'd used it already actually. I just added the name, and okay, it was only the name. I removed this paragraph. I changed this to an H1. Let me see their code markup. Okay, so in each of them, where is it? Okay, all right, this is an H5. So I probably change it. I change it to H2, and I remove this paragraph since the only thing we wanted is just the name. But I try to move this one above, it wouldn't stay. So the way their own code is programmed, it has to just be at the bottom, center bottom of the div. So that's just the beautiful part about it. It also contains the indicators, and then each of the slide has its name. So it's actually a beautiful attribute anyway. But then I used it initially. Okay, this we have one as well. This one has a JavaScript function that makes, I think it's set interval. Yeah, so it slides by itself after a period of maybe seconds. I don't know. Depends on whatever was written to it. All right, so let's not waste time. Okay, this is auto playing. Okay, I think this is the one that slides by itself. All right, so we had various options here. So I used this one initially, but then on the smaller screen I didn't like it, so I had to just write it out with HTML and CSS, and it's something we're going to do. So in the next clip now, we're going to be writing this section. See you in the next video.